if you just change one factor, and that's that you don't think Ryan Cohen is a doofus, all right? If you don't think he's a doofus and he's not a fool, if you don't think that, and all of a sudden, suddenly, they're sitting on billions of dollars in cash, right? And you actually think not only is he not a doofus, but he's extremely talented in that he has the capability to turn this around. If you just, even if you don't agree with that, right? Even if you don't believe it, that's fine. If you just pause for a moment and think about that, I think it really changes your mindset, and so that becomes the bet.
Nice branding in the upper left there. This comes as a video game retailer reveals a decline in net sales in the first quarter and a stock sale plan. Head moderator of WallStreetBets, Noor along with Tom Bruni, Stocktwits head of market research, joins us now to discuss. And thank you both for showing up here. I was fascinated. And Tom, let's begin with you. Your overall impression, Keith Gill there, talking about some risk disclosures, kind of selling Ryan Cohen, but we still don't really know the plan, do we?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think nothing says this uncertainty better than the fact that the company released earnings today, but is not hosting an earnings conference call for the 5th quarter in a row. And so it's this situation where there's a lot of hype around the stock. Obviously, the stock price has risen quite a bit, and the company is doing exactly what it should do. It's raising money on the back of that, and it's buying itself more time to figure out what the ultimate plan is. But that's the key question here for retail investors and anyone involved in GameStop is, their balance sheet is fixed. They're not going bankrupt anytime soon, but what are they actually going to do to turn their core business around and make a profit from selling video games or whatever else they come up with?
Noor, I want to bring you in on this. Does what Tom is saying matter, right? Or is this... Right? Or is it? Go ahead.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what I was going to say. It's if you're a trader, then you love this volatility. If you're in it for the long haul, then you're super excited that GameStop now has $5 billion or will have $5 billion of cash on hand. So either way, it's a win.
Well, let me just follow up on that, Noor. What's your impression of this much anticipated reveal by Roaring Kitty versus some of the other appearances? We haven't heard him speak for a few years. How is this different in any way?
I think he's completely on brand for who he is. We saw the exact same authenticity that we did 3 years ago. Really, I think this is just to put to bed all of the rumors and accusations that it wasn't really him, that he sold his account, that he was hacked. And it's not the case. It's him. It's authentic. It's real.
Right, and he also pushed back against some of the rumors and speculation out there that the money that was put into GameStop was not his, that it was being funneled through another entity. So he said that's not the case. Tom, what has the discussion been like on the Stocktwits community around GameStop? I mean, anecdotally, when you were looking at that live YouTube live stream and looking at the commentary, it seemed like people were pretty pumped, but I'm curious what you're seeing and hearing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think coming into today's live stream, I think the expectation from, most people was that we were going to get some clarity around, what Roaring Kitty's ultimate investment thesis is at this point. And I mean, the clip you played before kind of outlined it, right? It's a bet on Ryan Cohen. And so, his live stream kind of reiterated the fact that he doesn't quite know what the company is going to do. The company doesn't quite know what it's going to do yet to kind of turn its core business around. And he's really just making a bet on the fact that it has a ton of capital available to it now, and that he believes in Ryan Cohen as the person to lead the ship. And so, there is a lot of skepticism around the broader motivations for his return and just kind of like where this all leads, because we're kind of back to the same situation as we were pre-Roaring Kitty, which is, okay, GameStop's an interesting situation, but again, how are they going to fix the business? Or is this kind of like just another flash in the pan where, traders take advantage, there's a lot of volatility, it's a lot of fun, and then, the earnings chicken comes home to roost, and you have to deal with the actual underlying business at some point.
Noor, I'm interested in your take on the community. You're a moderator at WallStreetBets, and you've seen that. You've been in the action for a long time. Has the community's tone shifted in any way? Are there more concerns now? Are people still gung-ho? Do the diamond hands prevail? What's the temperature?
I think we've definitely seen a shift in the way Ryan Cohen is perceived. He's being seen a little bit more as a villain these in the past couple hours, specifically because he decided to release earnings earlier than expected, kind of putting a dampener on the rally.
Well, I mean, villain or not, like, their earnings are not good, Noor. Let's just say that flat out, right? Sales fell 29% year over year. The company still is posting net losses. The stock, while it's been all over the place, and as you say, volatility is good for traders this year, it still hasn't reattained the highs it was where it was back in 2021. Like, I have to say, Noor, well, first of all, do you still hold the shares? And like, why do you still have faith in this thing if you do?
I do. And I think a big part of it just comes back to the fact that the core thesis hasn't changed. The business itself
he's had all this
Yep.
time to fulfill that core thesis, Noor. When you look at GameStop, the thesis now is the same as it was, but it hasn't come to fruition, right? Ryan Cohn hasn't done anything with the thing, and he's not telling anybody what he's going to do. He doesn't do conference calls. He doesn't talk to anyone. It's a complete black box.
It's true, but I think it's unfair to place it entirely on Ryan Cohn. If you go back to 2020 or even 2019, when DFE was really talking about getting into GameStop at the beginning, he was talking about a console refresh. Because of the pandemic, we haven't seen that. And we're still, coming around to maybe it'll be next year that we'll see all these consoles refresh. So I think it's then that we'll see all this buildup finally come to fruition.
All right, we got time for one more time, real quick. Anything we haven't covered here that you want to make the case for?
Yeah, I would just say part of the broader conversation right now is around whether this GameStop thing is a resurgence of kind of meme stocks in general. And from a Stocktwits perspective, there are other stocks that are seeing a similar focus, but they fall into different categories, right? So in GameStop's situation, it has a good balance sheet. It just has fundamental problems growing its revenue, which is why it's not profitable. AMC, on the other hand, has a bad balance sheet and is not making money from its core business. And then you have something like FFIE, which is Faraday Intelligent Electric, which is an electric vehicle startup, where they don't have a good balance sheet or a core business. And so I think there's an interesting conversation around the different segments of meme stocks and what their actual longer term potential is. But in the short term, they all get caught up in kind of this, social momentum that's happening on platforms like Stocktwits and WallStreetBets and Reddit and all these other places. So just know the game you're playing. If you're a short-term trader, this is great. If you're a longer-term investor, you're waiting for these companies to really tell you, what are we going to do with this good fortune that we found ourselves in?
Know the game you're playing. It seems like you guys know the game that you're playing. Noor, appreciate you being a good sport. Tom, you as well. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thanks for having us.